So let's go ahead and record that.
Good.
And we are recording right now. So just in case you were absolutely new, this is the Mac side, and it will look, of course, nothing like your computer, unfortunately. But unless you have a Mac and familiar with Macintosh. But in your case, especially on the computer, you'll notice that the login is on the screen. Now, I've tried to make sure with Juan that it's the correct login because there was kind of a mismatch there. There was like multiple logins going on. Anyway, what I would write down is MLC 502 or 502, sorry. Capital C, not a lowercase c.
MLC 502C.
And student. All one username. And of course, you should, some of you, I've already even signed in, wonderful. And some of you kind of realize it's on the screen, right? Also the password, just because I want to say it out loud and for the recording, capital Alamo, hyphen, capital station. Keep in mind that even if this username doesn't work, please contact me or Juan up in 645, right? If they're not there, keep in mind that, like I was saying before, like the way that you have to sign into this specific computer over here, that technically works on every computer on campus, right? However, sometimes it means the programs have to load, sometimes it doesn't. So again, it's kind of a fail-safe. When in doubt, get a hold of me or get a hold of Juan, right? But that being the case, once you've signed in, eventually, now you'll see there's a sign-in screen over there on Christian's computer and Felix? Wonderful. You'll see that they have a sign-in there. What's nice is on the school computers, you can use whatever you want as long as it's an Adobe account, right? You could use your Gmail, you could use your edu.student account, you could use a made-up one as long as it's an Adobe account. So if you don't have an Adobe account, what do you need to do? Create one. And in fact, there's a link on there to create one. Now that being the case, if I did that, I would create a Gmail or a Yahoo or anything but my edu, because that edu account that you have is actually tied to your personal computer. I know it gets very weird, right? But long story short, you have Adobe access here through 2 emails, or really any email, whereas your personal computer at home can only use your edu account. Does that make sense? I can't just sign into my Gmail at home and expect Adobe to suddenly work. In fact, the reason is because all of your edu accounts have already a permission system. They've actually, for the whole semester, right? And we're supposed to have it for quite some time. So it's definitely in your best interest to double check, because that's $35 a month now. And I don't want anybody paying for that if they don't have to. And I'm here to tell you, you don't have to, because we have these $100,000 worth of computers now that are even better than mine, which is saying something.
And you're looking at your champion in this program, making all of that possible. So thank him every day for upgrading these systems and making sure that we satisfy the mission of the program, which is to keep you abreast of developments of technology within the profession.
Absolutely.
You can do here what you're doing in offices that you will begin working in sooner than later.
And these computers are very comparable to what you would have in an office, or even Texas Tech had some really great computers in their labs. But that being the case, just keep in mind you can sign into any account as long as it's an Adobe account on these computers. However, if you'd like to work at home, because I know sometimes it's late, it's 3 in the morning, you got that one last thing to do, right? Be sure to use your edu account, right? The password for your edu account is the same as your login, your email password. I would write that down. It can be found under Web Services of ACES through Canvas. If you don't know where that is, contact one of your studio mates, because I guarantee you one of them has definitely used their email password. You should actually be familiar with it if you've ever signed on for the first time to your ACES account, right? But that being the case, once that's done, you should be able to click on Photoshop. You'll be able to sign in using your, if you're at school, Gmail or edu. And of course have this available, and this is kind of the general startup screen, if you will. From there, we'll go and find our scan, that JPEG that we just grabbed on our USB. So in our case, open. I'll go to CVP.
Two final projects from my class that he lectured on. That's also the approach Balderas has taken.
That's right.
See
That's
that
right.
Images on the lower, in the
Right
middle
here.
on the left. Those
has all my previous works, including my 3-year-old's wonderful Wacom scam. It's funny, I've been teaching her how to draw, and she loves it. But we're going to take our image. We're going to go ahead and open it up, see what it comes up with. It already looks really good. You might be thinking, man, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to print. It's great, right? Well, let's check a few things, right? Don't get me wrong, it will remain the same size that we scanned it. And what I mean by that is if I use Command R on Mac or Control R on Windows, in fact, it'll bring up a ruler right at the top and on the side. Now, if you don't even see any tools, by the way, this could happen, you may want to go to the corner first and make sure that you have essentials, right? That is definitely key, because some people actually watch the recording and they're like, sir, I don't have any tools. What's going on here? And sometimes I do forget to mention that, well, there's different templates of tools in Photoshop and really all the other Adobe programs. So when you click on these things, sometimes by default, it's on painting or something, and you're like, where are all the tools? Those are not the right tools. So again, make sure that you're on Essentials, and you'll see that it immediately changes your workflow. Now, if you accidentally delete one of those workflow stations, not a big deal. You'll click on the same box, and you'll see that there is a Reset Essentials. Awesome. And you'll see what it just did. It just kind of reloaded those windows back into place. So, food for thought. But with that Command R or Control R, I can right click and make sure that it's in inches. Usually by default it is in pixels, so be careful. 10 by 8 pixels is not the same as 10 by 8 inches, right? In fact, we've had it happen where a student prints out something that big and they're like, sir, what happened? I was like, you chose 8 by 10 pixels. It did it correct, actually, but you were just in the wrong units. So make sure that you're in inches, right? And as you can see right now, we are 0 to almost 8 inches, and it needs to be, what? 8 by 10. The image needs to be 8 by 10. So the first thing that we're going to do in Photoshop is go to Image. We're going to go to Canvas Size. Now, to be fair, these are kind of a little interchangeable. You'll see that there is image size and canvas size. Now, canvas size, you can more think of it as a passive background, right? I can sort of control the image. If I change the canvas, I'm changing the image. However, if I change the image, I'm not necessarily changing the canvas. It's kind of one of those square rectangle situations, if you know what I'm talking about. You can have a square be a rectangle, but a rectangle will never be a square, right? Canvas will overall.
Image size on an 8.5 by 11 canvas, right?
So since we know the 8.5 by 11 canvas, I'll go to canvas size, and I'll go ahead and put that in inches. In fact, I'll type in 8.5 and 11. This would technically be my paper size, no? Right? So I'm going to press OK, and immediately you'll see that there's a healthy border, right? And immediately we can tell that the image is a little bit smaller than that 8, right? Second thing we could do is, well, this is actually a layer itself. So you'll notice it says default background. If I unclick this and I hit Command T, I can actually transform the whole thing. Now, don't get me wrong, that's going to mess with my canvas a little bit, right? It's going to move the image, but it's also going to move my canvas. So what I actually want to do is go to a selection tool. So it's that second tool down. You'll notice if you kind of highlight over it, it's called a rectangular marquee tool. And I will select just my image alone. So in my case, I just want to get the image itself. And I want to isolate it myself. So what I'm going to do is Command X for cut and Command V for paste. I'm going to put it right back where it is. Why? That way when I go Control T for transform, I can size it however I like, right? I can hold Shift to keep it proportional and make that entire image.
Stretch your image.
Correct.
Be careful.
Now watch that again, right? Because it's very easy to accidentally do this.
All of a sudden it became fatter.
Now, is that technically the same? No. Now, don't get me wrong, the human eye probably won't pick it up, to be fair. However, in architecture, one little minuscule thing, especially if you're at 1 to 200 scale, if I move something a millimeter at 1 to 200, is it gonna be the same? Not even close. You're gonna lose like 18 feet out of there. You see what I'm saying? Even a millimeter off at that point. So don't get me wrong, we're shooting for accuracy, even if it's an image, even if it's a floor plan, even if it's a section, right? Especially in architecture where our drawings usually reference something literally physical in the built environment. So it definitely becomes important. But that being the case, let's go ahead and go back to the actual proportions. In my case, the way that I solve that is by holding shift, right? And keep it. You can press enter to basically keep that. And now you have your complete image on an 8.5 by 11. Simple as that.
But that's not
Oh,
what we want.
what do we need?
Professor Perez.
What do we need?
We want an 8 by 10.
Oh, okay,
image
okay.
On an 8.5 by 11.
8 by 10. So
Right,
specific.
students?
Well, I'm glad you asked because, well, don't get me wrong, if I needed 8.5, that's what I do. I just go to the paper. But I need 8 inches. So, well, if I have 8.5 and I need 8, that means I got to go a quarter in here and a quarter in there, and that removes the half, right? And I may already be very well close. You'll notice that these rulers, it's kind of tricky. You can't see if anything that happens, but if I click inside and drag it out, it creates a line for me. In fact, you'll notice that there's even a little box that tells me the exact measurement. What will I need right there? 0.25. Why? Because that would be a quarter, right? If I hold shift, it's even going to help me out a little bit. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm just going to get as close as I possibly can.
I mean, it's not rocket science, but I do want that rigor.
0.51.
I want that precision with your drawings and with the original. You're going to be making drawings of this painting, of this printout, all week. Let's not
There we go.
start with a bad, and that's why I'm giving you a whole day just to lay this thing out carefully and high quality, so that we'll be really paying attention to it.
Absolutely. And to be fair, some of y'all images are, they're different paintings, right? They're not all going to be the same proportions, or, some of them may be a little more square than others and things like that. So
one of the nice things about Bacon, as strange as he is he's very rigorous. So
Oh, wow.
almost all of these are the same format.
well, that's good news.
Yeah.
Definitely good news. But now that we have these rulers, or what they're called as grid lines, right? Just in case you need to look it up, what are with the cyan grid lines? Because to be fair, you could ChatGPT that and learn all about them and how they work and how they don't work. But in our case, good thing we have a separate image, because I'll just hit Command T. I'll move this, and in fact, with that little ruler there, you see how it's kind of magnetically going to it? It's like, whoop. Wonderful. That means it is touching that line. Now I can hold Shift and lock into that other line. You'll notice that my lines are quite at the top. They definitely show in the outer space. This outer space, keep in mind, doesn't get printed. It doesn't even get used. So sometimes students wonder, like, oh, if I have an image out there, will it get printed? Not the case, right? That's looking pretty good. Finally, well, I might take it down, center it to the page a little bit better. So I'm going to go to my Move tool. I'm going to use my arrows on my keyboard and dial it in just about right. So I have it exactly 8-inch wide document. Now it needs to be exactly 10. We could, absolutely. Let's go ahead and even check what we already have. So if you do dimensions, you'll see at actually the top, it should tell you the exact amount. Of course, it tells us in pixels. So that's a little annoying. It doesn't even convert the units for us. However, we could dial it in a little bit. I could also, again, just use my same method, right? I know one side, and I know that I need to minus an inch, no?
Half inch on each side.
Half inch,
Everybody?
right? See, I'm kind of playing the same game. I'm trying to get the answers out of you guys, right? But yes, a half inch of each side, right? Now I'm just going to kind of fake it till I make it, because honestly, I have a sty in my eye right now. It's kind of hard to see. But I do want to get one of those measurements here, right? And to be fair, I could chop it off. There's a couple of things. I don't know. My studio professor, what do you say? I chop off the top or the bottom here? Maybe a little bit of both?
Chop off the top.
Okay.
It's the bottom, the figure is activating, right?
And there you go.
At the bottom and the top is kind of leftover space.
So we definitely want to keep that portion, and we don't want to lose any of that distance. It's already small, right? whereas we already have a lot from the top that is kind of empty field, if you will. But that being the case, again, I can take my selection tool, and now that I have these little grids here, when I go ahead and just hover at least close to them, you'll notice that it kind of automatically sticks to those, right? Lastly, I'll select the inverse, which is a little easier now. It does come in a little button now. However, you can also right click and select inverse. Now what does that mean? That means whatever I selected and I select inverse, it's gonna select everything that's not what I selected. And that's of course what I want to erase. So I'll select inverse. I'll hit E for eraser or elephant, echo, right? E, and simply erase that portion. So in my case, I need to make sure it's on that layer.
Many nodes, so they must know this.
They must. And we'll just go ahead and get rid of what we don't need. And to save some time, we'll make the brush bigger. And to deselect is Command D, as in dog, or
So
delta.
Everybody's canvas is expected to look like this. 1/2 inch top and bottom, 1/4 inch side to side. 8 by 10.
Yes, sir. Question?
Would cropping the image do the same thing? As just
No. Cropping will actually change the image itself. Now, don't get me wrong, there's 2 ways, there's like 5 ways to do everything. Technically, I could do that at first, get it to 8 by 10, then I would make another canvas and put it on there. Does that make sense? That way I didn't accidentally mess up my sizes.
I just meant like for that last step right there at the end where you just like took off the top.
Oh, where I just like took off, no, because it's gonna change my canvas. It's just not good practice, because if I accidentally hit fit to scale when I print, it's gonna skew it. Even though technically the image is true, but again, we kind of want to prepare ourselves for something realistic here. And what that is canvas.
It'll impact others.
Canvas means paper space, whereas image is the image, right? So don't get me wrong, and I really wish somebody would have pointed that out to me when I was teaching myself these programs, right? But it is a good habit to get a hold of. These programs and really the digital world is trying to reference reality, right? But if we just start making up what the digital world's doing, it'll never connect back to reality, right? So just keep in mind that equals our paper space, and that really is our digital space, right? Now, don't get me wrong, you saw me, I was kind of transforming the object too. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can mask it, but that's a little more advanced. If nobody knows what I'm saying when I say mask or masking tools in Photoshop, write that down. Type that in YouTube. I have a couple of videos about masking in Photoshop, but definitely not the amount of time to go over it, nor is it really necessary here because it's just like a little piece. Well, theoretically, I could put a white piece there. I mean, there's, like I said, 15 ways to technically do the same thing. But arguably, some are 3 clicks versus 15. So, great question, though.
So printing it, saving and printing.
Wonderful. So from here, we'll save it. And in my case, right now, it's a Photoshop file because, well, it has multiple layers. Now, if I know I don't need to make any changes and I just need to print this out, I'm going to go ahead and right-click on my layers and flatten the image. Now, the reason that's important is because I can't undo that. I mean, I can technically undo that, right? But once I get a certain kind of past the steps, I can't just change those little components like I did, or just simply erase or things like that. So I separate it and then flatten it back together, right? You can almost imagine like it's a sandwich that I'm pushing really back into one slice of bread or something. So from there, I'll go to File, Save As, or I can go to Export. It's a little bit different in the new ones, especially if you want a JPEG versus PDF, or it depends what kind of file you need. Really, the best file to print is a PDF, so I'm going to go with, actually, Save As. So I'll go to Save As. I'll switch it from JPEG to Photoshop PDF, I believe. As soon as I find it. Thank you, thank you. Sorry, my eyes are a little bad. And we'll go ahead and put it on CVP. We'll call it Printed Image. KB for Kevin Bacon. We'll go ahead and save it. In my case, I want to make sure it's a high quality print. I don't need necessarily the smallest file size, but I don't know, if I was trying to send it for a portfolio and I knew that I only had a 10 megabyte rate, I would definitely make it my smallest file size.
You want this to be as high. think y'all have any photo paper from graphics, 1 or 2? I had my graphics 2 students get it, but y'all weren't in graphics 2 yet. So if you print this on photo paper, it's gonna be a lot higher quality for you to kind of use as you start doing these overlay drawings, analyzing them. You don't have to do that, but do try to get as high quality on bond as possible.
Absolutely. So we'll go ahead and save that. Press yes. And again, something that I just always like to do is double check drawings, right? I really do. So again, even though I made that, gosh, I forget which one it was. Let's try again. Where did I put it? Save as. Photoshop, printed image. Oh, I did put it on CVP. Okay. Replace it. No big deal. High quality print. I'll press OK. So in our case, you shouldn't have a problem, especially on the school computers. What I would say is open it in Adobe Acrobat. Don't try and print from Photoshop. Don't try and print from Illustrator. Don't try and print from MS Paint. Print from Adobe Acrobat. And the reason I say that is not because Juan tells me, but I know this is how it is at Texas Tech. I know how this is at UTSA, that this is how it is at all of the other schools, because guess what they have? They got a print lab. You never even touch a printer at most other architecture programs, depending where you go, right? Especially Pratt. Pratt is a really good printing
So if you
lab.
start
But
good habits, you end with good habits.
exactly.
If you start sloppy, you end sloppy.
'Cause
And you're always making trouble for yourself.
exactly. Because when I went to Texas Tech, nobody told me that. I was saving all these images JPEG, and they're like, why aren't you printing my files? You sent JPEGs. And I was like, am I supposed to send something?
Just last semester, end of the semester, they're printing their competition boards, they have 20 minutes left, and they're still trying to print PDFs.
Right. And you're in line with 50 other people, and they go, PDF, sir? And they're like, I only have a JPEG. Next. Oh, man, I got to go back of the line.
Yeah.
Right, there goes my file. Right. So, pick up some good habits.
Taking a lot of time to do this, right?
Absolutely.
Please do it right and help each other.
But in my case, it is on CVP, so I do want to make sure that the PDF is good. Double click, and it looks very close to what we had. And it looks pretty good. No pixelations, no, I mean, heck of a scan, huh?
Yeah,
Heck
ready
of a
to start
paint.
drawing.
Right. From here, we can basically, you'll open yours in Adobe Acrobat. You'll go to File, Print. I can't really show you what that interface looks like on my screen. But to be fair, you're going to see Print. You're going to go to this computer, or this printer, I should say, right here. So you'll go to the print settings. You'll see all the list of printers. If you don't see this one, it's because you might be signed into the wrong username. If that be the case, like if you notice there's some sign-in issues, again, contact myself or Juan, or just switch to a different computer. Honestly, not all of them are ever like failing at once, from what I've noticed. But this is the name of the printer you want to use. It prints only 11 by 17 and an 8.5 by 11, right? Works out for this project. What if I have a project that is, I don't know, 11 by 12? I need a sheet, right? I'm gonna have to bulk it up. I'm gonna have to print it on 11 by 17 and cut it down. Right?
Custom.
So don't get me wrong, I have a lot of students that actually, they put in the paper size in there, and it has to be something that complies or comports with this machine. And it only has 2 options, right? To be fair, it has more, I just don't want to explain those, right? So just keep that in mind. We only have 2 paper sizes for this guy. But we need to select that in our printing settings, right? From there, you should see in the preview. The preview is pretty good at showing you exactly what it's going to look like and the correct orientation that it's going to be, too. I can't tell you how many times I get students like, sir, it's printed this way. I'm like, did you even look at the preview? Right? Because it should have been a dead giveaway before you hit print. Keep in mind, the architecture program is not taking your money. In this case, it's actually GoPrint and the system that we use at the school. That being said, if it robs you of your money and the print didn't come out, I can't actually help you. But the wonderful faculty that we have in there at the MLC, the little mega lab is what it's called, they can actually facilitate those refunds and things like that.
Especially if you're nice to them.
Exactly, and they're actually really nice. Michelle is godsend.
So
But
do not ever be mean to them, please.
correct, and they will remember
You're
you,
in it
trust
forever.
me. Also, another thing that can be said is you can add it through credit card on the GoPrint system. You'll have to make an account. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you or express this enough. I've had to make like 8 accounts. Why? Because I keep forgetting my password, right? Also, it was told to me later that faculty has free printing anyway, and I was sitting here paying for my drawings for years. But that being said, you can do it by card. However, if you do have cash, there is a wonderful little machine here they fixed last semester that you can actually sign in through this ITC little screen
You
here.
don't use cash anymore, do
And
you?
you can put cash in it. I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes I find 40 cents on the way to school, right? So there is no excuse for not having a print, guys. And especially if the printing system down here is done, where would I go? Let's say all the power's out at San Antonio College and I need a print, period. Where do I go? UPS? Well, I mean, you could, right? You go to Kinko's. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, but it will be open 24/7. ARC, you may want to write this down. ARC on Broadway.
Really close.
Say you're a stack student, and there's like a 50% chance it's going to be free, especially if it's 8.5 by 11.
So that's all you need, 8 by 11? Here, take it.
Give us a good review is usually what they'll
Yeah.
tell you, right? And please do that because it does help them a lot. There's a lot of UTSA faculty there, or alumni there, and San Antonio
Really
College
nice
alumni
to
as
them,
well.
too.
So
In fact, be nice to everyone.
it's a good way
Easy.
of life. But that being said, I can't tell you how many times I get a student go, "Sir, I don't have a print," when I just expressed there is no excuse for not having one in 2025, guys. I'm sorry, it's the bold truth. You know, it's just what's expected of us professionally, right? I would never go to a meeting and be like, "Sorry, it's on my iPad," right? Yeah, like, no.
No one is going to tell
And-
me that at 2:30
Right.
on Tuesday. I got it in my flash drive, I got it in my computer. You have to have it printed to
Yes.
start work on Tuesday at 2:30, please. Thank you.
But some really great questions. Is there any, again, it's still recording, so if there's questions, speak up, because it's a great way to get it on the recording. Everybody else might have that same question, it's just kind of afraid to speak up.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
You said when we're scanning it, to scan as a JPEG?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then to...
Really, anything but PDF. JPEG's just going to be the easiest one to work with. PNG is good too. But to answer your question, at least JPEG or PNG. No PDFs until you save and print.
Are any of you going to be printing this in Photoshop?
Good answer.
I didn't hear everybody. Yeah, good.
Even Professor Bohuslav knows that one.
Yeah, even. All right.
No questions?
Thank you very
Good
much,
enough?
Professor Verrett. for your
Again,
professional
I'll upload
introduction.
this to YouTube.
Right, you're gonna